In this video, we're diving deep into the world of electric catenary systems. We're assembling a super detailed system based on the components found in the real system.
Hello and welcome to a video tutorial in which we will dive deep into the world of catenary. What's this? It's the overhead wires which powers the electric trains as they move along the lines. Everything is going electrical these days, so I thought to myself, hey, why not talk about this? It has not been previously covered, so why not? And as well, catenary systems, unless you live in Germany, which I know that many of you do, there are not very much products around. So you can build catenary for the prototype you're working with. So for me it's Sweden, and of course, yeah, I have this handmade brass built catenary parts which are humongously expensive. So no, that's not for me. And maybe, yeah, I run German trains, maybe I could have German catenary poles, but masts, but something tells me no. So here I am. But then just a few months ago, something happened in the market. So today, catenary is really low cost. And not only that, it's super detailed. Far better than any of the manufacturers. Before moving into building this catenary and looking at the parts, we will have a look at what catenary looks like out there in the real life.
Well, first of all, these overhead wires are not endless. They're divided into sections, and in my country, Sweden, they're limited to 750 meters. After that, you terminate one section. During the transition between two sections, you use this type of mast, which holds two wires in place, parallel. In our prototype, like you see here, the transition is 3 to 5 masts long, but typically on a model railroad less. In the end of transition you have these type of wheels, and in those there are weights hanging. The purpose with that is to stretch the wires, since they expand during warm days and contract during cold days. The overhead wires carry the electric power, which is picked up by the pantographs of the passing train, but it's fed back through a separate ground wire. In Sweden they look like this, two parallel wires which are hanging on the masts. One could otherwise think that the rails in the tracks themselves would be sufficient to carry that return current, but in real life those return currents are also transmitted through the ground, which can cause unwanted electrical phenomena along the railway lines. To prevent that, this type of transformer is placed every 5 kilometers along the lines on a separate mast looking like this. Lastly, there are also 3 wires on top like this. These 3 lines carry power for signals, telecom, illumination and turnout motors, etc. This is of course necessary because most often the railway lines cut through wastelands where there are no electric power available. Ahead of tunnels or overpasses like this bridge, they go into cables instead. This is a bridge, so then the cables are hanging in the air, but for tunnels they are routed on ground.
Alright, so now you have a bit of an overview at least of what all of those wires up in the air are all about. But how about the cost then? Well, the straight section I have behind me here, I calculated the cost including the wire pieces, and it sums up to about 450 euros, which is about $500 US, which is, I think, maybe not in my budget, but there are ways to do this now, since a few months, since a few really good drawing packages have come available on the internet. So we're gonna have a look at that. Let's get to it.
In this video we will use a drawing package from Model Railroad 3D. You find it on CG Trader. So go to CG Trader, type in Model 3D and you will find all of the packages available there. I will use for this the Swedish old riveted type catenary set, and here it is. Add it and then proceed to checkout. Once we've done that, we have downloaded a compressed file. We save that file to a USB memory stick and then right click on it and choose extract all, and then the computer will extract all of the data found in that zip file. Now for each item there are a few different files available. First there is a picture of what you can expect once you printed it. Then there is a model file in STL format. This is useful if you later would like to customize your print, like printing more items in each batch or place them in another way. Whatever you like to do, you can do that with the STL file. The STL files are identified only with the version number behind it, so like this. Now there is another model file included, and that is a OBJ file. It's useful if you have another printer type than Anycubic, then you will need to use this file and slice it for your specific printer. But if you have an Anycubic, Photon Mono 4K or an Ultra DLP, you don't have to do anything but to plug the USB memory into your printer. With that done, you just pour some of that Anycubic Craftsman resin into that tray and then put the hood over the printer. When you do that, you get all of the available drawings or 3D models from your USB up on the screen. You select which one you want to print. I'm going for the catenary masts here. And then once you feel happy with your selection, you just press on play. And then the printer will make the catenary for you like this. Once the print has completed, you just wash the printed items in alcohol and then you can cut them away from the support pad. Useful tools for this is a scalpel and a side cutter. I made some rough calculation of cost for the 2.5 meter parade route I'm gonna put catenary on, and if I bought this at my dealer it would have cost me €250. Now I've 3D printed them. The resin plus drawing kit cost €13. So even building as little as 2.5 meter of catenary, you can include that cost for the printer of €200 and you still have a good bargain. And not enough with that, look at the detail level of the items we're printing. I did also download the German catenary just to check what it looked like to compare with other things I've seen. There is a slide-in socket and here goes the catenary mast into that. These Ausleger or outliggers are snapped in, and this is what the mast looks like from the printer. Once we got some paint on it, it does look like this. So yeah, every rivet is visible. And it's strong enough to carry any overhead wires, and the details, yeah, it's actually better than from the manufacturers. So let's go ahead with the process. I could say that if you're printing a lot of catenary mast, it's a good idea to print them to the right color. So if you have gray mast, print them in gray resin. I should have bought a bin of green resin for this project, but well, here I am with my apricot and I have to paint them all. Otherwise you only need to paint the detail, such as the isolators and the concrete foots. So this is what they look like now when they got the first green coat on. Now I paint the concrete sockets here. For this I use a flat gray color, I also paint the mounting socket in the same color. Whilst I still have the gray paint in my mixing board, I also paint the other gray details. And then I move over to the isolators, which are kind of brown like this. Alright, so here are the masts. I'm now intending to dry brush them with a light green color. This is to highlight the rivets. Now, since I've selected the riveted masts and all of the rivets actually are there and in the right position, it could be a nice thing to highlight them also somewhat. This is the transformer mast, and for that I've selected the old style Swedish transformer, which was a round style. And the right hand masts will also have this crown for the separate power. And this is how I proceed with the Ausleger, the metal rods that holds the wires. Again, I would recommend printing them in the right color, meaning gray. That simplifies the process a lot. I have to paint them, so I paint them after I have glued them in place using fast set glue.
Alright, so now we have printed and painted all of the details we need for this catenary system. And I want to say a few words to help you to succeed with your printing. You know, if you're printing a lot of one thing, like the masts here, in total I will print 150 masts for my layout. Vary the printing. So print masts and then shift to something else, like transformers or something like that. And then go back to printing mast. That is one thing to avoid print failures, because these printers are not really used to print exactly the same thing in the exact same spot. That wears on the printer. So vary this instead and you will have much less of issues. Another thing is to not fill the print plate entirely. Print in the center of the print plate. And you know, with these drawings they're all centers, so you don't have to worry about that. Another thing which is of use if you want to get started, Anycubic, I saw now they have a sale for exactly the equipment I'm using here, the Mono 4K plus the wash and cure machine at $378. So that's less than just buying the catenary for this straight section here, which is 2.5 meters. So talking about it, let's assemble the parts.
Now the overhead wires will be Märklin 70360. These are 360 millimeters long. I use that length for straight sections and the outer radius. The inner radius is cut to length. Now I start by a tunnel. I have prepared a mast location tool in plywood. I know there was a tool included in the catenary set. The sockets for these catenary masts are assembled using Märklin screw 7299, which was for the old Märklin system. You can buy them low cost on eBay if you like. So I screw down the first socket here now, like that, and then I slide in the mast. Yeah, nice! The first mast in place. The way I go about this is that I now remove this mast and then I go for the mast which is located on the parallel track. So I get that mast exactly parallel to the first one. So I mark the position for the hole with a screwdriver and then I assemble the mounting socket and slide in that mast. Now we can get started on assembly of the overhead wires. So it's very easy. I use fast set glue, check alignment and straightness before gluing them in place. Remove excess glue using a cotton swab like this. And then I use an accelerator to even accelerate the fast-set glue curing even further. Now, somewhere here in the middle, I'm gonna start my transition between catenary lines. So in the middle here, I will have a transformer and transformer mast. So to simplify assembly, I remove my wall, and here you have that special mast which is for transition sections. And now I've also got the transformer mast in place. Now I found that many of the parts, like this isolator set for transforming that air wire to ground wire, can be divided and thereby, adapted to whatever it looked like in your prototype. And also you can add wires and details almost endlessly to perfect your model. Another thing I thought was awesome building this catenary is that if you need another part, just hit print and it will come out. And no transport, no logistics. You don't have to think about if your vendor has it in stock. No, just press print and out it comes, and almost free of charge. This is really freedom to create, I think. So here what it looks like. I typically align my pantographs, which are on the engines or locomotives, like 1 or 2 millimeters below the catenary. I think it's a great trade-off to avoid any issues. Another fun thing I found while looking at the costs for this installation is that the Märklin overhead wires, that steel pieces in those plastic bags, cost exactly as much as the printer plus the resin and the drawing package together. So that says something about the saving you can do printing your catenary instead. How about this mix? A German 103 with Swedish catenary. I just love it. Just mix and match the way you want.
All right, so that's how the catenary system turned out here. I'm very happy about it, and I will continue to add catenary over the Christmas holiday, which is coming up just in 1 week. Yeah, it's Christmas. Why don't you give yourself a real treat? I have 30 videos in line for the 2022 next year. Get over to Patreon, set up a support account there, and make sure that the videos are coming your way, or make a one-off donation using the PayPal dialog found in the video description below. And if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe and enable that little bell, and you will get the notification once the next video gets published. Until that happens, see ya.